Hola. All right. Happy Thursday. All right. What's up, Patrick? I'm going to talk a little bit about like my watch list and how I don't really so much rely on scans to tell me what to buy and when to buy it. I'm more interested in sectors and my watch list of wheelhouse stocks, if you will. So each day I can kind of tell where the money's flowing, and that kind of keeps me interesting. Yeah, Jay, I'm bullish. I'm going to explain. I'm in hedge fund mode right now. And I'm going to talk about kind of how I've been managing hedge fund mode as opposed to swing trading or scalping for sure, day trading. For the last, yesterday was probably over the weekend. I took some stuff home and then kind of paired out some stuff yesterday, added some new stuff. I'm not interested in really selling. I feel like the selling is done. I feel like the headlines keep coming, but the buyers keep coming as well. So for the moment, it seems like the resolution of, if I just put up the NASDAQ here, we closed above barely the 20-day SMA yesterday. We've taken out yesterday's highs, and now, albeit, we're consolidating sideways. So for the shorts, they're a little concerned here. For the people who haven't taken the risk that I decided to take, and trust me, I've taken some paper cuts over the last week, trying to find that bottom, if you will. I don't know if it's a bottom, but I'm trading about 10 positions here as if I want to hold them for a while and then maybe slowly scale out if the market does dig in here and hold higher. A lot of these trades are very much above the 5-day moving average. That scares me a little bit. So there's always the possibility for kind of a rug pull. But that hasn't happened, which kind of gives me more comfort that maybe, the bidders are just really going to hold this market up. And the money managers are saying enough is enough. Forget the headlines. I'm done with the headlines. I see where we're going with this. The market is kind of maybe predicting that we're going to move out of this headline type market. All right. So what do we got here? We got 8 so far. I'll wait for a few more. I've been watching for sure, like the Q stocks, QUBT. This one's on my short squeeze list. This one's got 21%. Now I'm playing a couple of short squeezes, and I actually just bought it a few minutes ago before I came on live. It's barely underwater. QMCO, I bought it here off of the fast line, kind of hoping it would go higher. Big short flow at 30%. But it's running into its daily. So this is the underperformer. That's the most recent. This morning, I bought some ARQQ, which is also a quant stock, because I noticed the quants were doing okay. Here we go. Now this is ripe. This is about as ripe as it gets for me. Okay. It's trying to close and resolve itself above this 200-day, but what it's got going for it are all these other Q names today. And I'll talk about this again when a few more people file in, how I'm managing this. But so far, so good. I don't want to jinx it, but this is a very low floater that's got a wild spread. I had to use the limit order and go in between the spreads to get in and get out of this thing. And God forbid if it doesn't work, you have to hit market order on a widespread stock. It sucks. I don't know what happened to my. There we go. Let me do that. Hello, Mike C. So yeah, Jay, to answer your question, I've got about 10 positions to the long side. I've got no hedge. I've got no shorts. I'm building some things. I'm going to go from strongest to weakest. Things I've had maybe the longest. So DJT, I've been in this for a while. I've sold half. The other half I'm just going to keep. I might build on more on a pullback. But let me just say this, it's about 65% invested and 1/3 in cash. And that's going to be my plan here if it works. If I can keep a market that wants to hold and put in a low here and start to build on itself across the board, and all stocks that I'm owning lift, I'll fade out of them slowly if they work. But I want to keep a good 1/3 of cash each day. So when an opportunity arises, again, I'm trading my 401k. It's not a levered account with margin where you can just jump in and jump out all day long. And this is a retirement account, so I can't go short. A couple of things I can do to try and hedge. Can't do levered stocks, can't do levered ETFs. So I got to kind of be careful. But what that means is I get now T+1. The 1-day settlement that happened about 6-7 months ago has been a game changer for my style of trading and in managing this retirement account. It's my main focus each day because I'm very active in it. Like I'm surfing, the weather of the day, and having that cash available. If I can just cycle out of things and keep coming in each day with a 1/4 or 30% cash that I can rotate into the following day, that T+1 settlement, rather than waiting 3 days to get your money back, which is the old school way, that sucked. So it's been a real game changer for me and my style, knowing at the end of the day, as I've told some of you guys, I will go through, you can't talk to me at 5 minutes to the close, because I'm going through each stock and saying, do I want to hold this another night? Or now the new bonus is, do I want to turn this into cash for tomorrow morning and have an opportunity when Andy or Brian Shannon throws me something, I don't have to say, oh, shit, I'm out of money, So I still got some cash left for today, but DJT has been a big winner. I'm out of half of that. Rum has been a big winner. And what I really like about this one is it's just spent all this time chopping around down here, but now it's resolving 2 days above that flat 200-day moving average. I know the speaker, the CEO, is going to be speaking at a Bitcoin conference soon. I think there's some weird stuff up their sleeves. So I'm long that and definitely in the money. Andy and I both took a position in Tesla before earnings, and we've been adding on it. And normally we don't take positions in the earnings, but this time we both kind of felt that maybe the downside was limited, or if it was bad, which it was, it's priced in, and it seemed to be priced in. So I'm just going to kind of let this one work. And again, Tesla has had 4 attempts, 2, 3, 4 down here at these levels, 230 level. And if it can just hold above this, 10 and 20 and start to all of a sudden, put a bullseye on this 50-day moving average, there's no reason to get out. I want to see if this can hold. So if you're just pulling up here, I'm not really concerned with the headlines, and it's probably a good time to get into it now. I use this ticker here. This is nothing more than a high-low, and it's nothing more than just the S&P. So I don't really get much from this. There's the S&P symbol list, other than what's happening in the moment. What's the pulse of the market? It's all green at the moment. So that tells me that the bidders are still kind of in the market. I can look away and do an email. If I come back and that window's all red, I'm like, okay, what's going on? We're getting a pullback in the market. But this down here, this is the 401k. There's a lot of stocks that are similar on this, which is the My Watch list. And this has come in extremely handy for me the last few days as I'm trying to kind of build a little hedge fund portfolio here for God knows how long, but trying to take advantage of where I think the market could be. To get back to Jay's question, yeah, I'm cautiously bullish and optimistic that we're going to grind back higher and come up and test this 50 and eventually, hopefully, this 200-day. And again, the market's had enough headlines. They're done with the headlines. I think people are just saying, forget it. I think that, I'm going to look to the future 6 months down the road, past all this tariff stuff, and hopefully the market will signal that that's what they're feeling. So what I wanted to propose is for people who are newer to trading, you can't just rely on 1 or 2 indicators or scans that you just pop through and you make money on, whether that's Holly or anything. And even the money machine coming. And if you heard Dan yesterday, he told you there's still a component of the human that has to deal with markets and trading and risk management, the most important part. So I would compel newer traders that want to get better at this. If you're up for the challenge, homework, go out and find all the sectors, which was over here. There's many sectors. These are ETF, software, airlines, AI, solar, semiconductors, technology, uranium, technology, SPY, Russell 2000, retail, financial, biotechs, banks. Okay, do some homework and go and create a list. Ask ChatGPT to create a list. What are the 5 most popular stocks in each one of these sectors? Again, I'm serious. Use AI, Grok, whatever, and make a list. And then you might have 50 interesting stocks that are all of a sudden your wheelhouse, your level of interest. And then you create that symbol list, and let's we'll just do it from we'll do it here. So here is my 401k high low. But what I've done is this gives me a bit more granular look at the stuff I'm interested in. Every one of these stocks I've been playing. I was in love, yesterday Hertz. I made money with that. Thank God Brian Shannon tipped me off for that week. Rum, I'm in this. But notice we've got 15-minute high, 15-minute low, 30-minute high, 30-minute low, and then high on the day, and any high on the day, and low on the day. So when I came in today with cash to spend, I started immediately trying to figure out, okay, which ones are moving higher. And I saw gold miners started high, but they immediately started making 15-minute lows. Okay, so they weren't going to hold their bid. Well, some things like the Q stocks immediately started popping up. QSI, QUBT, all the Q names. And so if you weren't aware of the new quantum sector, you should be. And this is how I do use trade ideas. In real time, I'm getting a pulse and a feel for not only the market in general, but for the specific sectors. And I started to notice the NNEs and the OKLOs and the SMRs, those nano nuke stocks. So let me just circle back again. If you're a newer trader, you've got to get familiar with who the popular players are. And then once you've got that, you can create yourself a symbol list. And you can see my symbol list consists of the name 401k. So I'm constantly adding things to that list. And by the way, if I'm looking at something here, I don't think I have QMCO, but if I don't, it doesn't matter. We'll go QMCO because I'm in this one. And I want to add this. I go right click, send this symbol to a symbol list that we call 401k. Now I've just added it and dropped it into this window down here. So what I'm getting at here is just sometimes a simple high-low 15 or 30. I've got both of them in there. I can quickly see if there's a bar reversal. Let's say something's been hitting lows, 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 and all of a sudden, boom, 15-minute high jumps in. That's a bar reversal, on something. And then you see another stock do a 15-minute high and another stock, and they all three seem to be in the same sector. Well, there you go. That's how you're deciphering news in real time. For instance, HYMC, I'm loaded up in this one, Patrick. This is the only silver miner I have, but it just made a 15-minute high. So throughout the day, this literally is my most focused window. It's not so much a scan, like, here's a scan over here showing pullbacks to the 5-day moving average. We went through this one last week. It's a pretty decent little scan. And if you watch Dan yesterday, he was talking about being able to quickly, soon we're going to be able to simulate the money machine, but we have to still add our settings and our configurations. So that's going to be up to us. When I start testing the money machine in sim mode, the first thing I'm going to be looking at is going to be the scan, something like this. I will say, all right, I'm willing to unleash the money machine on something that I feel is valid. And that's usually strong stocks that are pulling back to their 5-day moving average here. If we can look at history, that would have been a decent one. It kind of worked. Here's an oil ETF. That did not work. All these are oil ETFs, interestingly enough. So where I was going with this is just one little tool. But what I'm clicking through all day long is this. I'm curious in real time what's going on. Oh, MindMed just made a new low. I'm in this one. Okay, I might need to watch this one. So when I'm in hedge fund mode, this comes in really handy. But it also comes in really handy when I've got cash to spend and I'm walking around the store going, what's in favor today? Because you guys, if you haven't noticed, the big money market managers, they rotate from semiconductors for a few days, and then those get weak, and then the biotechs are getting strong. So it's up to you as a trader, really. Again, go back to Chat GPT, Grok, whatever, and start asking, what are the 5 most popular or liquid or most discussed social media, whatever, on each 5 stocks in each sector, and then create a watch list. And here's what I'll do. I'll give you just the basic setup. This is the scan, and it's no filters. You will have to select your own symbol list. 401k won't be relative to you. That won't even translate. But what I can do is I can select these 6, right? New high, new low, 15-minute highs and lows, 30 highs and lows. So I can give this out as a shell, and you guys can build your own watch list that you get from, AI, that is, 5 stocks in each sector that you really should know about. And if you've got any questions, I'm happy to help you. Like, hey, Steve, what are a couple of good stocks for maybe LiDAR, for, those self-directed car driving things. Anyway, let me drop that in here. For those that have TI and you want to open that would be used for you to build upon on your own and just start dropping your favorite stocks in there. And throughout the day, this is really what I'm watching the most. And then I'll say, okay, I got a little time. What's going on over here in short sale land, short squeeze land? Well, look at this. All these stocks on this scan have high short floats. So I'm never going to chase anything. Here's a Q stock, quantum stock on the short float. Speaking of, let's check on my, right, that one's kind of holding up. That's the one I bought, and I need this one to go too. This one is just, don't get lazy on me now. These are the 2 quant stocks I'm in. All right, I'm also in some game. It seems like the new SEC chair who was just sworn in, he might come after that naked short selling crowd. And so in the back of my mind, I'm in a couple of things. That's one of the reasons I'm in DJT. I think that's one of the reasons it took off, because they started talking about it. Game would also be one that's been kind of suppressed, as we all know. I think Rumble might be suppressed a little bit too. So if the headlines start to squeak out that the SEC is going to start probing naked short selling, the minute we hear that, let me give you the scan right now. You guys should be looking at the scan, or actually you should be looking at this scan, because this is the same thing. I just have more of them on here, and they're sorted by who has the most egregious. MLGO, 90% short. Oh, really? So if the headlines start to come out that the SEC under the new administration is going to go after naked illegal short selling, this might be a very valuable scan. So allow me to share this. And all I did over here was turn this into a tree map. So they're kind of one and the same, but I think for sharing purposes, it give you the high level one. And again, you only want to probably pull that out if you start to hear about short sellers coming into the spotlight, because there's probably a lot of weasels in some of these names that are going to scamper out and get scared, and they're just going to cover now and buy and get out and not ask questions. That could happen. A lot of green coming through my happy windows here, right? So I'm in hedge fund mode. This is what I want to see. And so BBAI, I'm in this one as well. This is my AI exposure. So I'm trying to have some quant exposure. I'm trying to have some short selling exposure. I'm trying to have some gold mining exposure. I'm in MindMed. I think this is kind of an RFK. I'll be honest with you, this is an RFK junior play. He's going after the food dyes and the additives, and probably not a lot long before he starts to come after the pharmaceuticals, and people might start to realize they don't need to take Prozac and SSRIs. Maybe there's a natural solution, and that's what MindMed would do. So, I mean, I'm kind of building a new administration short-term hedge fund here. That's literally what I've been trying to do for the last week. And I swung out and missed a few times because the markets would get me in, and then I'd get stopped out. But these last 2 days are the first time that I have not been getting stopped out, and the buyers seem to be in there. Kodak, I'm also in Kodak. This is also, I would call, a new administration play. I think they're poised and ready to start making chemicals. And more importantly, Trump even said we need to be manufacturing medicines and pharmaceuticals domestically. This is the perfect kind of company that's just tooled and ready to go. So I think Kodak is a new administration. Tariff, come home, domestic factory, light it back up kind of a play. Oh man, Jay, you got to ask Andy tomorrow, because whatever answer I give you just won't compare to what Andy knows, because he's the China expert. All I can do is just look at the K-Web and say it looks kind of similar to what our market's doing. If our market is not going to be concerned about tariffs, I don't know what's going to happen to their economy. Even then, you don't know what kind of headlines. I stayed away from China stocks. Andy laughs because I won't play them, but he knows how to deal with them. So I would say come in tomorrow and tune in and ask him, and he'll give you a good answer. Unless he's listening right now, he can type it. So that's where my head is. And like I said, I've still got some cash if I need to for today, but each day I kind of want to come in with some fresh money that I can rotate into something fresh and not just get stuck staring at the same portfolio day after day. FCX, this is an interesting one. This is copper. It's the major copper play, and that starts to bode well for maybe people looking for industrial production again globally. You never know. But there's a bid in the market that I can feel that wasn't there last week, and I'm not in these things today to sell them for a profit at the end of the day. I know I'd kick myself if I did that and it went. It might not go. We could get a stupid headline tomorrow and everything could change. But you hear people say have a plan and trade your plan. That's my plan. And at the end of the day today, if there's any laggers on here like QMCO that just can't get it going, or even ARQQ that I just can't trust, that maybe wicks off of highs and reverses and closes near lows, I will sell those at 5 minutes to the close and turn those into cash, so I can immediately redeploy that tomorrow in a good setup. Because I hate nothing more than getting fed a good setup by Andy or Brian and I don't have the cash to play it. I'm happy for questions. I'll ramble forever, but I can look at charts. Again, I'll go down what I'm in. I've been in DJT for a while. I've been in RUM for a couple days. I've been in Tesla since pre-earnings and added to it yesterday. I've been in Kodak for a couple days. Been in MindMed since yesterday. HYMC since yesterday, which is a gold stock. I loved this setup. This stock is in play, and it just kind of wicked up here after it took out those highs. And then 1, 2, 3 days, I bought it right off the 10 SMA. And this has been zero pain for me. BBAI, this is my AI exposure. I tell you, I wanted to be an NBIS, this Russian stock, but I missed it. But it's one I might get a chance to buy back if things do kind of revert back to I can reset my price alert there. And then game. I've been in game for a couple days now. Bought it off the 10 SMA back here, just like that other one. And again, this is kind of that, cheeky. Is the SEC going to start maybe hinting towards cracking down on naked shorts? Yeah, good question, Jay. I think small caps are they're not showing either way. If we look at all three, I like to look at all three. The NASDAQ seems to be respectively of the three dragging us higher. And then we've got SPY, right at prior highs. And so IWM's kind of bringing up the rear. However, it could really play catch up, excuse me, if the market does kind of turn and start to build and people start looking for value, it could turn. So if you are bullish on the market, that's the lagger. There's nothing wrong with buying the lagger. I do that all the time. I do think BBAI is, that's kind of a lagger in the AI sector. But if it can just, I can zoom in here. If it can just, I mean, actually right here, it's taken out 1, 2, 3 moving averages in a period of 2 days. And if I can just get any, at one time, people loved this stock. It went up to 10. Here I am long down here at what? 275. Right there. So that's my thoughts on small cap, Jay. Good question. Looking down here, SPY new high, Q new high. So this is the heartbeat of my day, is watching this market. Just kind of keep an eye on things, especially when you got a lot of stuff going. Uh-oh, ARQ's pulling back a little bit. Not going to get too worried. I hate selling things midday because I've got to give it a chance to work all day long. I can always sell it at the end of the day. So I try not to, get flustered and just sell something because it's down ticking a couple points. Let's see, Southwest had earnings. They're trying to come back from that. That could be an interesting buy, actually. Really gyrated around, but the earnings are now out. There's our pivot line right there, 25.67. It's trading above it. I'm tempted, but I think when I ask myself, do I want to do this or save the cash for maybe something for tomorrow? Airlines, how much alpha, how much quick movement can you get out of an airline? It's kind of rare, so I'm going to pass on that. So I tried to buy the laggers in the quant stocks, and now I'm kind of just getting, not punished there. I'm back to flat on this one, and I'm tiny underwater in QMCO. So as I was saying a moment ago, I don't just get out now because it's not going my way immediately. Because when you do that, it finds a way to go without you. And then you ask yourself, why did I do that? So that's why, again, the last 5 minutes of the day is very important for me to make decisions of what I want to keep and what I don't. Looks like Tesla is really trying to defend this 250 level. Unless it comes back today to that level. Hopefully it doesn't. Here's an example of Wall Street for you. I tried to play this NG back here, and I was absolutely just dumbfounded as to why it was doing that. And I got, skinned a few times. And then I probably made it back on this, but I got out because I just didn't trust this thing. And then, wouldn't you know it, giant news comes in. And so basically what was happening is market makers or whoever, they had to bring this thing down to a certain level. And I guess, get all the people in the inner circle in. I don't know, but I've seen it a million times, details or whatever they are. But all the other stocks at this time, all the other stocks were moving higher. And I thought, what is wrong with this thing? Then it finally bounces. And then this news comes out. And it's just 3 days of just bananas. I can't believe that. So things go on behind the scenes sometimes that make no sense. All right, we're getting a good push in the market, which certainly will help my little long hedge fund. And so as we get a little push here, I start to see maybe what's making 15-minute highs, what's turning around. FCX, yeah, Mike, FCX. If it closes above this 50, that's a significant win. You can also play FCX copper with TGB. TGB is actually back above all moving averages. And, I would love to buy it here, but it's moved from 170 to 240. It's obviously a seller here at 230. I might just drop like a price alert in here at 220 for future. Again, this is the workflow, you guys. Future idea. A future idea might come to me tomorrow in real time, and I might say, yeah, you know what? This is lining up perfectly. Maybe I will take it, but I'm not going to chase it this far above this 5-day moving average. But good observation. Is silver continuing to move to highs? I'm hoping it takes this HYMC stock so you can see the 5-day moving average is in play. This is why I use this one simple indicator. Acts as a pivot often. Support, breakdown, resistance, resistance, resistance. It's that simple. And if you're new and you don't know what that is, it's a 5-day moving average, but I've done it by way of using a simple moving average, but I make it 130 period because 130 15-minute candles divide perfectly into 5 days of trading. So it allows me to see it on this clear window versus another line over here. So I call it a fast line because it moves quickly. It's only 5 days. It makes more sense to look at it. Brian Shannon taught me that, and he and I both use it religiously, and so does Andy. So now what you expect doesn't mean do anything with this position, but it just tells you, okay, the sellers are still defending this level. But if I look by the end of the day and it's popped up above this blue line and closing strong, then it kind of tells me the buyers are back in charge. What's going on, Jay? Did you trigger some bots over there or something? I like the asterisks in opinion only. Mike, you're not a financial advisor. Yeah, it's the simple, Patrick. He's always used the simple. So do I. And if you ask him why, he'll say there's really just such a minute amount of difference that you're welcome to use either one. But I prefer to keep it simple. And speaking of that NG, right, Patrick, you can relate to this. I mean, why the hell is silver going, down like this when gold is going up? So it has to make me think that what's happening in silver right now is the same manipulation that's like driving the price down artificially, and then it eventually might do something like this and catch up to gold, because you look at gold, you look at what it's been doing, look at that trend, and then you look at silver. It's like, what the hell is that? But now all of a sudden it's bouncing pretty aggressively. So this was literally one of the most dumbfounding 2 days of manipulation I've ever seen in my life. And I think at the time I said, hopefully it's so bad and so egregious that this is the death rattles of the naked shorting of the banks in silver. And it very well could just turn around and be above these levels next week. Probably whatever they were doing, the buyers probably demanded something, and who knows? But that NG was just horrible. It was a real pain in the butt. And then you start to realize there's something wrong with it. And when that little voice in your head tells you that, you got to just get out and say, I don't understand what's happening because there's some boardroom shit going on that I am not privy to. NVIDIA, yeah, certainly I keep an eye on NVIDIA throughout the day. I probably should have that on my, I should have that on my, if not, I'm going to heart it right now. I need to heart that. So that's going to go on my watch list. There we go. Yes, Mike C is right. You know, as a driver of the market, it's been absolutely destroyed from what, 150 down to 87. So we've got to break this trend. It's so easy to define. If this is a lower low, then we've got kind of an inverted head and shoulders there. But still too early to tell. If we zoom into the intraday, that's very positive. It's holding up very nicely intraday. Yeah, there goes that NIBUS. Yeah, total control over it, but maybe is it they had total control over it and now they're starting to lose control over it? Because at the time you guys were here, I said that. I'm like, this just has to be their last hurrah. Cover now or bankrupt soon. You're exposed soon if you're naked short silver, because it makes no sense. And I think I even did that last week with GPT. I walked through it with you guys. Historically, the ratio price ounce to ounce is 60 ounces of silver to equal 1 ounce of gold. We were up over 101, 105 at one point. And that's like a major statistical standard deviation. Yeah, the miners are too random. Again, exactly, Patrick. You're not getting exposure to the metals. You're getting exposure to the boardroom and the freaking summer house the CFO wants to buy, and so the shenanigans they're going to pull to drive whatever. You know, there's a whole new layer of things to not trust with the miners, and I got to remind myself of that sometimes. For instance, AG just seems to can't get out of its own way. Right? Look at that. But why is SSRM just a monster? I don't know. But I'm bullish silver. I own physical silver. I want to see this continue. I want to wake up on Monday and see like a 10% gap and just read about how JP Morgan and Bank of America are, you know, literally shitting themselves. All right, maybe I'm going to get them. Maybe I'm going to get a reprieve here in this HYMC and get a big move. It's a sweet looking daily chart. But again, as I was just talking about mining stocks, here I am trying to trust a mining stock, but so far so good. All I can do is trust the action. Whereas NG told me, this is garbage. Stay away from this. And it's not your job to figure out why. It's just your job to walk away from it and say, that's not for me. I need these quant stocks to kick in. I think BBAI is starting to do something for me. There we go. That would be a nice one. At one time, you know, I'll know Palantir, you know, this is the business model of coming into a corporation saying, let's load all of your corporate documents, everything, marketing, HR, financials, payables, and load it into this giant AI machine and let the machine tell you how you can run your business better. It's pretty cool. And a lot of people have said Big Bear AIs could be the next PLTR because it's the same kind of enterprise model where a company goes, okay, I need you to help make sense of our company data. And that's what they would do. So that's my exposure to AI. I'm trying, you know, just trying to get a few different sectors lined up here and not sell. And let me tell you how hard that's been. Watching some of these swings I've had the last couple of days, you have to compartmentalize and disassociate yourself from it. Yeah, the Palantir chart did not look bad at all. I mean, look at that. It broke out of consolidation. So what does this tell us? It tells us that if the market is bullish again, these money managers, they want to get back in and use this opportunity to get exposure to the AI industry. And I don't blame them. And me, what did I do? I went for the lagger. That's just kind of always been my personality is don't chase the leader. Let's find something where maybe there's more value and we can get a bigger move. So maybe BBAI could be a $4 stock next week because these small cap ones, they can get up and go quick. So yeah, back to, what do I think of the small caps? I'm bullish until these things tell me not to be bullish. Tesla's just getting caught up in its own webbing here. Gapped up a lot from earnings, but that's 10 SMA just snaking through the price. So it's just a neutral. And there's nothing wrong with sideways. Sideways consolidation is stronger than pullback consolidation. So like I was saying, it's just a matter of occupying your mind and being patient and not letting the swings up and down bother you. Because if you do get complacent or emotional in the moment and say, okay, I can't take these swings anymore, get me out, and the market does what you've been thinking it's going to do, it's really annoying. So have a plan, trade your plan. But he's lurking in here. I'm happy to look at charts if there's something you're fretting over or thinking about. Happy to analyze one for you and give you the truth. Sometimes people don't want the truth. So a lot of big moves here in these short squeezer stocks. There's my BBAI. Oh, I forgot. It's 21% short. Even better. I forgot about that. That gives me even more confidence. All right. So in a perfect world, I needed to see this QMCO lift off of my buy point, and it hasn't. So I can do one of two things. It's not a big loser, so I'm not going to worry about it. But at the end of the day, if it looks like this, I'll probably sell it, and I'll try to turn that cash into something that maybe is more interested in following through tomorrow. So constantly weeding the garden, trying to pull out the stale things that are stale where you can turn that into fresh new opportunity the following day. That Groupon was major, 37% short the float. But this thing, look at the personality it's had the last few days. It threatens to go and then it wicks. So I saw it this morning and I said, nah, I'm sick of your personality, Groupon. So I passed. But GoPro, GPRO, vicious downtrend, under $1. I don't know if this company is going to make it. It could be a day trade, but what's going to happen is, Patrick, it's going to run right smack into that 50 and sellers are going to be there waiting for you. All right. Hey, Jason, you've got a watch list you'd like to update when the results change or meet the criteria. Well, which criteria are you looking for? I was speaking earlier. I don't know if you were here, but I was showing this is my watch list here. Oops, whoops, no, not that. That's the S&P. That's green. It's giving me a go sign. This is an alert window, but it's nothing more than just telling me what's making a new high, a 15 high low, or a 30-minute high low using my symbol list. And the symbol list is right here. You can create one and then add an existing one, but on the fly, I can right click and then say send GoPro to the symbol list, so I can add things that way. Now, if you're looking for filters, Jason, you would go into, I would say, if you want to add a bit more nuance to it, just go to the search bar and type in any of the filters you want to see. Maybe it's an SMA or, I'm sorry, filter, search anyway, change or consecutive candles or things like that. And if you find it in the search, you can add that to your scan. Hang on a second. No. All right, good. Okay, so that gives me enough time to help to demonstrate the AVWAP feature using the anchor icon. All right, so there's many different time frames you can use. I might go down to this chart here maybe. I've got this other chart that I keep TradeWave on just if I want to look at something. TradeWave just signaled a buy actually on GoPro. But let's say we wanted to anchor VWAP this GoPro and see where, and a lot of times you do it from an area of interest, like this big spike right here. Like everybody who spiked up here, what is the average volume weighted price anchored from this point? So number one, make sure you've got browser charts interface enabled so that you do in fact see all these icons up here. And then you just click the anchor once. And what it does is it changes your cursor to a plus and then just click and drop. And then a purple line will appear. And you can see something interesting, can't you? You can see this first drop in that first attempt, the sellers just jumped on the anchored VWAP on the sell side, and they did so kind of again here. So what this does is it gives you, hope if you're in GoPro that if you do get a big oversold bounce, maybe it can get more than what I just showed Mike. Maybe it can come up here and you can make this your target. So in this case, you would use the AVWAP as your target. Now you can use it on many different time frames. Brian likes to use it like on a 60-minute a lot of times. And then you could take something like Tesla. Oh, I have to turn those let me turn those off. Pre and post market. I don't know why they're on there. So if we want to look at like Tesla with earnings, right? So our earnings were this day right here. Let's do something different. Let's do like a 30-minute. Okay. And we could say anchor the first opening gap right there. Hey, what do you know? At this point yesterday, there was an attempt by the sellers to breach down below the anchor of the opening gap of earnings. And this is how you want to use AVWAP. You want to use it as significant points, a major high reversal, a major low reversal, a big gap, and especially a gap after earnings. So you can anchor that point in time where the crowd now understands who's in control since that big moment in time, which was the earnings. And the earnings were not good, as we all know, but regardless, the stock gapped up. And now we're using the anchored VWAP to tell us, hey, you know what? The buyers are still in control. The people who want to buy this were supporting the volume weighted anchor from this earnings point. So from the earnings point forward, we're in a positive anchored VWAP position. So I hope that helps. We also have what I would show you is under new Market Explorer, select strategy. We've got AVWAP, and you can't see it on this chart. Let me move it over. This can give you some more ideas using the anchored VWAP if you're interested. So you go to strategy, AVWAP, and then if you've read Brian's book, a lot of the stuff we worked with him are in here, like the pinch on the daily. What's a daily pinch? Well, a daily pinch is where you've got two lines kind of holding up and down. There we go. On over here on the daily, it's kind of hard to see. Let's use this one. We'll go back to daily. Okay. Okay, here's a perfect example of the pinch. So as we talked about before, we're anchoring from a significant point. What if we anchor from two significant points? Here's a spike high, but we're bottoming it out with the spike low. And as you can see, it's drawn a downside channel and an upside channel. So again, this is on what's called the Market Explorer. You get to it from the toolbar, New Market Explorer. And then you could launch, like I said, different strategies that are already pre-configured in there to show you some setups. But if you're just asking how to demonstrate a VWAP by itself using the Anchor VWAP, it's just a one click and a drop, and you can draw that line. So hopefully that helps. Nope, I've got a meeting coming up. All right, I got like 4 minutes left with you guys. If anybody had any last questions or needed clarification on something, I got to run in a couple minutes. I'm super glad that helped. You are welcome. And that's why we invite people. I think you may have been invited, I don't know, to come. If not, it was somebody else I'm thinking of. But, aside from yesterday, Dan gets on here, and it's important that Dan does come on here and talk about the progress of the mining machine. This is a good looking chart, actually, but I'm not going to get suckered into it. But Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, myself, Andy, and Chris are here at 12 Eastern every day to do this type of stuff. What I just showed for the anchored VWAP question is not really something that's easily done on the phone or in a chat. But if you can hear me speak and you watch the demonstration and you ask for a clarification, it's such an easier way to learn and get the information you need. There are a lot of people who sign up for this product, and much like you guys did, you open it up and you went, whoa, there's a lot here. And some people's personality is to say, nope, this is not for me. This is too intimidating. I'm not down with it. And they cancel or they quit. But other people, they want to learn more, and this is where you come to learn and get the quickest learning curve. Sure, we could analyze SPY. It's shortly below the Qs. We're trying to take out yesterday's high, but be aware that the NASDAQ already did take out yesterday's high and is moving higher. So with that said, it very well could drag SPY through yesterday's high. SPY is holding the 10 SMA perfectly and has no reason to not go through highs here. On the daily chart, it closed just a bit in between, kind of sandwiched down there. But if we can get this resolution here on today's close with a green bar handily above this declining 20 SMA and the 10 SMA, then we're halfway home to maybe where we could be testing here in the next couple of days. Oh, you're welcome. I love coming on here and helping. I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I enjoy doing it because I know it's hard, but it's also extremely tantalizing to want to try and get better at this. And all I can say is, take your steps small, always manage your risk, and don't be a chaser. Don't be the person chasing. Look to be the person who's being patient for the level that you want. And, if you're not using price alerts, like if I'm saying, I don't like price here, SPY here, but, if SPY pulled back down here and retested this level, I might like it. So you start getting in that mentality of waiting for your pitch. You'll get better entries that'll keep you in the game longer. Oh, that's great. Good to know. I'm going to actually copy that, of course. Mark, for testimonials, if you don't mind. But yes, yeah, thank you. Just happy to help people and share my wisdom and show you what not to do, because everybody falls into the same traps. And if I can help you not fall into those traps, a lot of green coming through here. So this is probably the S&P getting ready to try and maybe make a new high. All right, let's see here. All right, I'll go ahead and use that opportunity. I got a couple of minutes to get ready for the next meeting, but that's why I'm a swing trader, so I can focus on more than one thing at a time and let things just work out. All right, thank you, Mark, very, very much. And you know, tune in tomorrow for Andy. He's got the same mentality I do, and he's been doing it almost as long as I have. All right, I got to run. I'll see you guys next week, maybe Tuesday. I'm not sure. Bye.